All right, today we're going to tackle one of the most famous, and let's be honest, famously confusing plays ever written, Samuel Beckett's Waiting for Godot.
You know, that line is spoken by one of the main characters, and it pretty much perfectly captures what a lot of people think about this play. It feels like a story where, on the surface, literally nothing happens. And yet...
And that's the big question, right? How did a play that's supposedly about nothing end up changing, well, everything we thought we knew about theater? To get to the bottom of that, we first have to understand the world that it came from.
Okay, so let's start with the man himself, Samuel Beckett. Because trust me, his life experiences are absolutely key to unlocking what this play is all about. So, when you look at this timeline, the part that really jumps out is World War II. See, Beckett wasn't just some passive observer. No way. He was an active member of the French resistance. He was almost caught by the Gestapo and had to go on the run, spending years in hiding. Can you imagine? That experience, living in a world that's just completely upside down, filled with constant uncertainty and danger, it totally shaped his worldview. And it's that stark, pessimistic, but also incredibly resilient perspective that you see woven into every single line of Godot. So the question is, how does a worldview like that translate into a new kind of storytelling? Well, turns out Beckett didn't just write a play. He helped pioneer a whole new theatrical movement. And this is the absolute key to getting it. Absurdism basically starts from this idea that human existence, especially after the horrors of the war, is fundamentally without any big, grand purpose. So, the thinking goes, if life itself is irrational and meaningless, shouldn't art reflect that? It was a direct response to a world that just didn't make sense anymore. And this is exactly how they broke all the old rules of theater. They just threw logical plots right out the window. Language starts to fall apart, so instead of a nice, neat story, you get these really powerful, unforgettable stage images, like, a single bare tree on an empty road. It's all about capturing that feeling of being trapped in a repetitive, pointless cycle, where characters are just struggling to connect in a world that gives them zero easy answers.
So, how does Beckett take these huge, abstract ideas and make them, well, real? He does it through 4 unforgettable characters who, interestingly, all show up in pairs.
First up, we've got our main duo, Vladimir, or Didi, and Estragon, or Gogo. And you can see they're really designed to be a complementary pair. Think of Vladimir as the intellect. He's the one trying to remember things, asking the big questions, trying to make sense of it all. Estragon, on the other hand, he's all about the body. He's hungry, his feet are killing him, he just wants to take a nap. The thing is, they really can't exist without each other. They're basically 2 halves of one single, struggling human being.
And then, this other, much darker pair just crashes onto the scene, Pozzo and Lucky. Now they represent a totally different kind of codependency, one that's all about power and cruelty. Pozzo is this bullying, tyrannical master, and Lucky is his slave, literally tied to him by a rope. But here's where it gets really fascinating. In the second act, Pozzo goes blind, and Lucky goes mute. So that whole power dynamic gets turned on its head, but they are still stuck together. A really grotesque picture of how humans can dominate and yet desperately depend on one another.
Okay, so we've got the man behind the play, we've got the style, the theater of the absurd, and we've met the characters. Now let's put it all together. What is the meaning of all this waiting?
I'm not kidding. The entire plot of this legendary play can be boiled down to this one sentence. For 2 whole acts, Vladimir and Estragon just wait. They wait by a tree for some guy named Godot. And every day a messenger comes and tells them, nope, he's not coming today, but he'll definitely be here tomorrow. And that's it. That's the play. But out of that ridiculously simple act of waiting, something profound happens. It becomes this massive exploration of what it means to be human. The characters are always suffering, right? But not from some big tragedy. They're suffering from the simple, crushing boredom of just being. The whole play is built on repetition. The second act is almost a mirror image of the first, which suggests tomorrow's just going to be the same as today. And their memories? They're completely shot. They can't remember what happened yesterday, which makes them doubt they even exist at all. And the reason they wait is because they ask Godot for something, some vague supplication. It's a search for meaning that just never ever gets an answer.
So what is Beckett really getting at here? Well, first, he's saying that this is what we do. This is human life. We are all waiting for something, aren't we? Waiting for the weekend, for that promotion, for things to finally get better. And while we're waiting for that big thing to happen, we invent all these little games and distractions just to pass the time.
The second big idea is that we are all driven by hope. Think about it. The only reason Vladimir and Astragon come back to that same spot every single day is because they believe that tomorrow, Godot will finally show up. And that hope, even if it seems completely irrational, is what keeps them going. You could say it's the very engine of human endurance.
And this brings us to what might be the most important point of all. Godot never comes. The universe doesn't give them any answers. So, what's the one thing that's actually real in their lives, the one thing that gives them any meaning whatsoever? It's each other. Their friendship, their arguments, the way they need one another, that is the only thing they can count on in this completely absurd world. So in the end, Beckett brilliantly turns the question right back around on us. This play isn't really about two tramps on a lonely road. It's about all of us, killing time, clinging to hope, and hopefully finding some meaning in the people we happen to be waiting with. And the real question the play leaves you with is this: what are you waiting for?